This has been a very unusual year, to say the least.
To say the least.
Yeah. We have a very full agenda, which will run from 12 to 2. We are going to be ruthless about getting you on and off. So if you have a 3-page statement you want to make right now, tear up page 2 and 3. Because it's going to be like the Johnny Carson show where the music starts. And the Oscars, doesn't matter who you know, you get your time on and off. Otherwise, we'll be here until late afternoon. We're going to start with the Steve Peters brand is here. They have been volunteering this for years. They're wonderful. They're Dolphins. They're wonderful people, and they make good music. Karen, you want to pick up here?
Okay, to get us to start, get us in the mood. I think we're already in the mood, but to get us grounded and to understand why we are all here, I'd like to introduce for our invocation Rabbi Michael Schwartz of the Malibu Jewish Center and Synagogue.
Good afternoon. It is taught that among the pillars that support our world and give it the ability to endure are what's called avodah and gemilut chasadim, service and deeds of loving kindness. This morning we're gathered together to recognize and express gratitude for the great services and acts of loving kindness that sustain and strengthen our community here in Malibu. This year in particular, it's impossible to acknowledge all of them, from the smallest to the largest. And if I can share a personal example of one of the many thousands of examples that have been going on in our community these last months. How can we possibly quantify the kindness and service of someone who stayed behind to try and fight the fires that in the end destroyed our family's home, but not before these anonymous heroes noticed some photographs on our mantle and braved the flames to go in and take them out and bring them outside, saving at least these few personal treasures. How can we measure that? We cannot measure this kind of care, this kind of humanity, this kind of love and decency and understanding, which is yet so simple and so doable. It's extraordinary how the ubiquitous and every day the extraordinary has become. So we are grateful, all of us. May our Dolphin Awards ceremony this morning be a thanksgiving, an expression of our praise, our deepest thanks, an acknowledgement that our world, our community, and even we ourselves endure thanks to the service and deeds of loving kindness exemplified by our Dolphin Awards recipients and among so many others whom we celebrate this morning. Thank you, source of all blessings, for granting us life, for sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this day.
Amen. Thank you.
And thank you, Rabbi, for bringing us the sunshine today. We have come in the rain before, and we expected totally to be in the rain again, but the sun is shining, and we're grateful for that. Every year, I'm asked the question, thank you. I'm asked the question, in a little town like Malibu, you can probably all say this with me because I start every Dolphin Award this way. In a little town like Malibu, everybody, how can you find so many people who give such wonderful service? How can you find them? Well, this year, I can only say that it's been an embarrassment of riches. I had the pleasure of being on the other end of the email chain where the nominees came in. And one after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. And I said, Arnold, if we give all these people Dolphins, we might be here for a year. So let's try to do this in a way that we can truly acknowledge the acts of loving kindness that were so bravely demonstrated, plus all the other things that go on all year with or without a fire. There are two pictures that stand out in my mind from that were published in the Malibu Times, and some of them were picked up and even published internationally. And they're Julie. Julie, where are you? Julie, our photographer, who, along with others on our staff, worked around the clock for days and days and days to document and provide accurate information what was going on. The two pictures that it told the story of the year for me, of certainly the end of the year for me, was one picture of a bunch of guys and girls on their surfboards riding out to this yacht and picking up food for everyone. If anybody saw that, I mean, that could only happen in Malibu, right? That was such a Malibu picture. It should be a Pulitzer Prize winning picture, as far as I'm concerned. The other picture, also I think one of Julie's pictures, but there's also a few other photographers that captured this, was the beautiful rainbow that shone over the city after the fire. And that's why we have rainbow balloons today, because it's the rainbow that we're celebrating today. It's not the ashes or the debris or the angst of everybody's pain of loss and grief. It's the rainbow of hope that we are all going to be Malibu strong and intact and together sooner than you think. Today we celebrate all of the people who were there to make a difference during the year and particularly during the fire. So that's my beginning pitch. But I do want to acknowledge the, Arnold, do you want to acknowledge the VIPs that have joined us today to celebrate you, New Dolphins? And
Okay. I think Henry Stern is coming later today, I believe. Jefferson Wagner, our mayor, is here. Karen Farrar, our pro tem. And from the council, Rick Mullen, Skylar Peak, and Mikey Pearson. City manager, Reva Feldman. And we have representatives from Ted Lieu's office, Joe Apatoxa. Yeah. Richard Bloom, and is that Josh Kerpies? And for Sheila, Tessa Charnovsky. And Tessa advised me she's going to be the rep for this district from, you all remember Susan Nisman. She's the new Susan Nisman. Younger version.
a hard act to follow.
Yeah. Okay. And we have the acting captain of the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station, Salvador Becerra. And who we met.
Okay. And then we have everybody that made this possible.
Yeah.
So you want me to read that list?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is an amazing event with everything else going on at the Malibu Town.
Who we missed?
You're
Who needs no introduction?
No introduction. I'm sorry. If we miss anybody, we're going to be talking about who we missed very often.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to be handing out is this red folder. In this red folder, we have the names of every hero that was made known to the Malibu Times. And I'm sure there are many heroes that were not made known to the Malibu Times. There are also many misspellings here. Because if you were nominated by somebody who didn't know how to spell your name, that is the way it's going to go onto a scroll. So I'm going to pass this around from table to table. Look at the list. If you want to put somebody on the list, fine, do so. If you want to check the spelling of people that you know, do so. So we're going to start that around.
We're going to have another event sometime in April for all of these people. We're up over 200 now. These people who stayed behind and worked.
And even in the aftermath, people who gave clothes and clothing and transportation and whatever. These are heroes too. So take the list, add people you think should be added, and hopefully.
At first, they all wanted to come here. You can imagine adding another 200 people to this room.
Anyway, so thank you to Mary Higgins. Mary? I could not, we could not do this without her. Christine Hayes of the Malibu West Swim Club. But we have other representatives. We have the president of the Malibu. Jim? You want to stand up? Okay, and that's yours. This is mine. Okay, okay, who else we have to thank? Monroe's Catering. Now,
How about our people?
yeah, I will. Now, Monroe's Catering, you should know, does this every year, and much of what they do, they donate. I mean, this is wonderful, hard work that they do for us. The Steve McPeters Band, we introduced you to, and the crew that greeted you, Mary Jo, Margot Neal, Jimmy Talal, Carla Bates, Sherry Weinstein, our Pepperdine ambassadors, where are they? The wonderful young people. And a special thanks to Sherman Balin. If you see birdseed at your seat, Sherman and I chatted early on about not just the loss of homes, but the loss of wildlife and, of course, vegetation and everything that was made the city so desperately. She says, well, we need to feed the birds. I says, fine, bring us birdseed to feed the birds. So take this home, throw it away into the wherever, and bring the birds back to Malibu. So thank you, Sherman. Okay.
Also, I want to introduce from the Malibu Times, Emily Sawicki.
Emily Sawicki. Emily, stand up.
Stand up. Our managing editor, Dan Hyde, and Shivani Patel, our assistant editor. Shivani, you got to stand up.
Shivani, stand up. Come on. She's shy. Thank you. And Julie's here. And who else is here from the Malibu Times? Oh, Kathy? Kathy Mays here?
Yeah.
Kathy? Okay. And to especially, now, we couldn't, I keep saying this, but we definitely could not make this happen without our sponsors. Kathy is going to introduce the people from Malibu Village who give us a generous donation every year. This is like their third or fourth year? Mm-hmm. Third or fourth year that you're doing it? Huh? Their second year. No, I think it's their third year.
Third.
Yeah, Malibu Village. This is Chris, and this is Eric. Another sponsor, always say yes, whenever I ask for anything from them, Pepperdine University.
Microphone.
I don't think we have a representative here from the Semler family, Malibu Family Wines, who every year generously donates the wine.
They were totally, if you've ever been up to the Semler Ranch, they were totally burned out. I mean, everything. They did it without the law. They had lots of animals, didn't lose any of them. I think one sheep maybe, but it was just total devastation up there.
And they're making a wonderful recovery. They're coming back. You have to know the Semler family to know. Like all of us, Malibu strong. They're going to come back. Okay. So, what? Yes, I'm going to do that right now. Okay. Arnold?
Yeah. Okay. When we finish at the end of the event, we want to get a group shot of all of the Dolphin winners. So please, if you're a Dolphin winner, hang on, because we need a front page picture. And that's all of you. Okay?
Okay.
Take it.
So the wonderful The wonderful thing about our people here in Malibu, or our people who love Malibu, is whenever you ask them anything, they say yes. In fact, it's probably our greatest strength and personally one of our greatest weaknesses because all of us are overwhelmed with the yes that we do. But Mike Thomas, who is very active in the and on the board of the Film Society, is a videographer, video production gentleman, and says, "Hey, you know, we've really never had a good video of our dolphins." And he said, "Well, I'll do one, sure." And then I said, "Well, how are we going to show it?" And then I reached out to my good buddy here and my brother, Scott Talal, and who provides all kinds of equipment. He's also the executive director of the Film Society. And I said, "How are we going to show it?" He says, "Find a way." So without further ado, I would like to show you the first video production of the Malibu Dolphin Charitable Foundation Dolphin Awards ever produced by Mike Thomas and shown by Scott Talal. Could y'all check the spelling on the heroes list? That's a partial list. We'll be editing the list, so that's what we've done. Arnold, let's come up with. Anyway, we'll show that later again if you'd like to see it, and we're going to put it on the Malibu Times website. It'll be there on the www.malibutimes.com website. So, so after that, it seemed to me that from a timing point of view, the most important dolphin, or certainly for the largest group of people, goes to.
Okay, the first dolphin award goes to the Malibu Woolsey Fire Heroes. That's the long list that's making the circulating through the audience now. It's going to be presented by our mayor, Jefferson Wagner. Jefferson, you want to come up? And on behalf of everybody, it's going to be accepted by Mikey Pearson on the council. who spent the fire feeding chickens, if you've read the story.
And he got a lot of eggs when he was done. That's pretty cool. That's a new one.
Oh, that's nice.
And- and-
Let me get out of your way.
Okay.
Let me get
Yeah.
out this way. And you take it.
I'll be happy to present this to Mikey. He's going to take it from there. That's a nice little wave. It looks like because half of the guys and girls that stay behind surf. And so, proudly, from the Malibu Times, Mikey Pearson, if you want to come up and grab this. Thanks, Mikey. That's for all of those that stayed behind and helped in a myriad of different ways, and those of us who stayed too long behind.
Stay up here, would you?
Could I ask my table, all the firefighters, just to come stand? It is a one-page speech. Anyone else here that wants to come stand up that fought the fire, you're invited and encouraged to come up here. Just come on up, come on up. I'm truly honored and humbled to accept this award on behalf of all of us that stayed and fought the fire. I'm glad to have this whole group here. There's too many names to go into, from different neighborhoods here to represent those of us that stayed here and the rest that should be recognized, which, thank you, I guess we'll be getting there. Oh, wait a minute. Did we ever pass that ordinance on Mylar balloons? Huh. Yeah, never mind, never mind. Sorry. Wrong hat today. The first thing is, I honestly don't consider myself a hero. I'm a citizen of Malibu. We are all citizens of Malibu. And we're part of the fabric that helps make this city the place we love and call home. We're just part of a wider group of Malibu residents that have and will always fight for and defend our homes, whether from fire or from any other natural or human-made force that tries to destroy or tear us apart. That's called community. When I think of heroes during the Woolsey fire, I think of the restaurant owners like Greg and Christy that fed us, the people like Doug Burge and the Jones Brothers Construction that brought us supplies, including generators. I think of Drew Ann Jacobson and that amazing group at Point Doom and all they did. I think of my wife Maggie and so many others that helped people with clothing, gift cards, right after the fire when I couldn't even talk to them or get a hold of them yet, doing amazing things. I think of Operation Recovery and what you guys have started and many are bringing forward. I think of Izzy's Donation Center and what they've been doing for people. And I certainly think of Casey, and you are amazing and in everything you've done, and I'm just honored to even be in the same room. So to me, the heroes are all of us in this room and in this community that are willing to step up when your town needs you and needs your help. And yes, that involves these amazing people here with me. And I know for all of us, everyone I've talked to, we never even considered leaving. It's not like that. We all do our part. We all care about our neighbors. We all care about our town. And we care about it more than being clean and safe on that particular day. We care more for those around us than for walking away and watching our homes burn. I salute these amazing citizens and heroes of Malibu. Karen and Arnold, on behalf of so many, thank you for this recognition. It really does mean a lot to us. Thank you very much.
Mikey is accepting a Hero Award. It's one of 200 plus certificates that we'll be preparing for all of the people that you let us know deserve it.
And the chickens was just something different, by the way.
We have a separate award for a poultry award, poultry dolphin. Okay. The next dolphin is another youth dolphin. This one's being presented by Scott Hosfeld and Maria Newman, and it's going to Nina Hungerland.
Well, I, like many, are just honored to be here in this room with all these great citizens. And of course, I have something written. It's going to be very short, and I'm going to go a little off script. But I wanted to say that, you know, when I'm a touring musician, I go out around the country a lot. And when people ask me what life is like in Malibu, I think they're imagining that the streets are paved with gold and there's a celebrity on every corner, not knowing that there really aren't any corners anywhere. But I do tell them that it's full of just normal, wonderful people, and it's typical in many ways. It's a real town and a place where ordinary people have lived for generations. And one of those kind of people is our nominee, or the nominee that I nominated, which is Nina Hungerland, and she's a homegrown girl. She's an exceptional musician. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She came through the Malibu High School music programs and was part of Eddie Mars's drum line that was at every football game. She was an exceptional athlete here. She was a standout soccer player on a team that came in third in the California State Championships. She was also a standout on the basketball team. But more importantly, she has been here and grounded. And we asked, when the fire broke out, my family, except for my son, was in Oregon. And we asked Nina a simple favor, which was to let our horses out at the right time before departing. And it's interesting to me how one small decision leads to another. She came to let the horses out, but instead managed to find them a ride to the beach, where she then stayed, and then that decision led to her encamping with those animal survivors and keeping those animals safe until the fire had passed. She brought our animals back to our home and watched over our home as well as many others with her father, Henry. I should acknowledge her parents, Henry and Maria Hungerland, are here today to see their daughter. And generally represents all the people, just like you honored, one of those who, in my mind, represented the youth and the people and the kind of people that we grow here as young people, that people have heart and soul. And so finally, I was just lucky enough to be able to get back into Malibu the day following the fire. I'd been in Oregon, and so I got to observe all these people who stayed, and the sense of community and the sense of ownership was overwhelming to me, and it was one of the times that I will always treasure in my own life, to have been in this community when it was most under fire. And so I nominated Nina to represent many of the unsung heroes, and herself, of course, and I'd like to present this dolphin to her at this time.
All right, didn't really prepare anything. I'm going to keep this as short as I can because I am very honored and shocked in a way to receive this, because like we have heard so far and we'll probably hear for the rest of our evening here or morning here, there's hundreds of people that deserve this, and I'm accepting it and keeping it with me, but it's for every one of these people that stayed and saved my house and saved hundreds of other houses and animals and people and photographs and all kinds of stuff in the city. Yeah, that's about it. I'm thankful to be a part of this community, and even more now, and have the smallest, tiniest part of everything that went on here is an absolute honor, and I thank you all, and I'm honored to be a part of this community. Thank you so much.
Our next dolphin are for another youth dolphin. This time it's two of them. And I assume it's brother and sister. Yeah, okay. This is a dolphin for Isabel and Sebastian Soderquist. Did I pronounce it correctly? Okay, and Maggie Lugrath is coming up to present it. Maggie? And why don't... here we go.
I am here to introduce these two amazing youth dolphins, Sebastian and Isabella Soderquist. The Soderquist siblings, Sebastian, 18, and Isabella, 11, were raised by their parents to have a strong sense of giving back to the community. And give back they have, especially since the Woolsey fire. Sebastian started volunteering almost as soon as he could walk, helping his parents feed the homeless. Over the years, both he and his sister have given away most of their Christmas gifts to the less fortunate. Sebastian managed to overcome severe ADD, and after recently graduating from high school, has been volunteering nearly full-time at 2 different clothing donation centers for Woolsey fire victims in Malibu. I have often said, you just name me one other 18-year-old kind, caring, and loving young man in this town who would do what Sebastian has done for months for the fire victims. He has used his own savings to replace guitars, Xboxes, and other items that local kids lost in the fire. He's also volunteers for Malibu Strong. Young 5th grader Isabella, Izzy, writes and performs songs and videos on issues she cares about, including one on GMO foods that went viral and keeping music and arts in the public schools. Optimist Club and also, Izzy also received an award from the Malibu Optimist Club and also won the Webster Spirit Award. As a member of student council, she started the No Child Sits Alone at Lunch program. She also befriends children coming to this country for surgeries performed by Mending Kids International. In addition, after being interviewed on several local newscasts after the fire, she came to the attention of Tinder, the dating app company, who then adopted 4 local fire families at Christmas. She also started a successful GoFundMe site to replace laptops for child and teen fire victims. People often ask me, what is a dolphin? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Whoop. I'm not a public speaker in the least. Okay, Sebastian and I are co-managers of the Izzy's Donation Center, the last standing donation center, and we will close our doors this coming Friday, March the 15th. Nita, Sebastian, and I consider everyone in this town fire victims. As per Carol Moss, she wants us to have everything that's left over on those shelves to go to Malibu people. I've notified all the churches, etc., in town. I want all those shelves and racks by this coming Friday at 12 noon empty. I want all of you to come down there. We've already sent truckloads. We've sent a huge truckload up to Paradise. We've given to numerous charities already. Monday morning at 9 o'clock, I have a man coming over with a truck. He's from the labor exchange, semi-homeless, but he now has his first apartment. He came yesterday when I was already closed. I said, I can't open up for you, sorry. Come back Monday at 9. He'll be there with a truck. Pastor Sandy from Malibu Methodist is sending a truck to pick up for their mission. Any of you all have a mission you want to give to? We want it to go to you all who want it for your mission, for whatever. Okay. Now I know. No. People often ask me, what is a Dolphin Award? I tell them I consider it Malibu's Oscar, but not for film, but rather for what one has done to make an outstanding contribution to the community of Malibu. I often get a response, oh, you mean like Malibu's who's who list? So Izzy and Sebastian, I congratulate you both on receiving your Malibu Oscar, the Malibu Dolphin Award. Isabella? Sebastian? And I think they each have a little acceptance speech. Oh.
Quick one.
A quick one. Thank you.
Thank you to the Malibu Dolphin Charitable Foundation for awarding me a dolphin. It's flattering winning a Dolphin Award as a young man. Life-changing, but it's just me within that. It's very encouraging, but I'm just trying to stay on the path I feel is right. Thank you all the others that have helped volunteering their time at our donation center, especially Maggie, Grandma, Proxy Grandma Boo.
Mine? Oh, hi. Thank you to the Malibu Foundation. Thank you to the Malibu Dolphin Foundation for even considering me for a Dolphin Award. When I started my vlog, it was this one goal. I said I'm not going to be famous to the world, but I could be helping kids on the internet. And I set a goal. I said I'm going to have fun with my videos and try changing what's important to kids. Because I believe family and friends are all you need, not stuff. Thank you to Susan Harrisuna for believing in me in my video message to the kids and help spreading it. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for loving and supporting me. Thank you to Lynn for help getting my what's it called again?
Donation center going.
Yeah, donation center going. And thank you to Maggie. Bye. Love you guys.
I think she's a little young to be on a dating website as a sponsor, but what the heck? Maybe I'm just out of touch. The next group, and there really is a group of dolphins, we're giving the Harvey Baskin Malibu Dolphin Award. Actually, Harvey Baskin used to own, what's that? Yeah, Joffrey's. And the Dolphin started, we were sitting around one day with Harvey, and that's how the Dolphin started 30 years ago. And the first ones were at Joffrey's, and then we sort of outgrew it in terms of the size of the place. So I'm going to ask a group of people to come up. Paul Grisanti, come on up. And Jimmy Chavez from Duke's Malibu. And Jimmy's going to accept on behalf of the business community. And Scott, will you come on up? And yeah. Wait, did we forget something? Yeah. Okay.
You know, you probably noticed that it takes a dolphin to present a dolphin. And like so many of you here, I assume from your good works and your commitment to Malibu that you are dolphins, and I made an assumption that Paul Grisanti was a dolphin, and now he is. So, Paul.
Hey. Let me tell you what's going on. We are in a battle to get more water in this town. We're in a battle to get the fire department to be flexible enough that people can rebuild if they don't meet fire flow standards and things like this. And the point man on all of this, and this means endless hours of meetings and endless visits to the supervisor's office, is Paul Grisanti. He has carried water for all of us and all of you, whether you were burned out or whether, whatever the case may be. Paul, want to say a few words? Yeah, okay.
I was lured here under false pretenses. I'm fortunate to be married to a dolphin, so, you know, it really made it, we're no longer a mixed marriage. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to recognize Sheila Kuehl's office, which is doing great things to get the District 29 and the fire department in line so that we can all move forward. And Riva, of course, who is actually in those meetings with Sheila's office in District 29 for keeping me somewhat informed, as well as she can. And I really can't thank everybody enough for that. Can I launch into what's next? I was invited here to introduce Jimmy Chavez. And if you don't know Jimmy, you've never been to Duke's, and you've never been part of the Chamber of Commerce, because if you did go to Duke's or be a part of the Chamber of Commerce, you'd know that he is a gentleman who, unfortunately for him, does not know how to say no. He can't enunciate the word no. If you ask for any kind of help, he will be there to give it, and he will be there over and over and over again, long after anybody else would have gone, this is just too much. The other thing I've been told that I must mention is he's incredibly athletic, by the way. So, Jimmy, I want you to come up here because you exemplify what went on after the fire as far as members of the business community moving in to stay open, to feed people, to take care of animals, to do anything they could, because they have a big investment in keeping Malibu functioning as a community. Thank you, Jimmy.
I pulled my calf getting out of bed the other day. I don't know how athletic I am, but thank you, Connor, for that. Thank you, everybody. This is just a huge honor to accept this on behalf of all the local businesses, and so many restaurants were also mentioned. That it's an honor to be representing all of them. We just did what we do every day. You know, we opened our doors, we cooked food, we served it, and it was a truly powerful time for the community to see everybody come together like that, and that's what restaurants do. So I want to say thanks to the local firemen, the first responders, the sheriffs. We saw all of you every day, and it was an honor to serve you food in that time. So thank you very much, everybody, and come down to Duke's.
But wait, there's more.
Scott, come on up. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Well, first of all, I'd be remiss in not reminding everybody, in my role as treasurer of the Malibu Dolphin Foundation, we have a website where you can make donations. PayPal has set up a site where we can take donations, and they are paying all of our fees. So every penny you give, they don't collect a penny. They pay your PayPal and credit card processing fees. If you would like the address, give me an email ring or come by afterwards, and we'll be delighted to take your donations. Since we're at the Dolphin Awards, I just have to say a few things about our experience, because we were burned out. And here's what happened, just a few things of what happened and what Malibu is all about. Ellie Summerfield and Gil, her husband Gil, were evacuated along with everyone else. Gil was end stage, and they were in a hotel for 2 weeks before they finally got home Thanksgiving Day. We moved in the next day because Ellie called up and said, "We heard you lost your house. We have a garage apartment for you, and we're going to refuse to take a penny in rent." Buzz Cadenhead at Buzzwax. We took our car down because after we went to our house, what was left of it, and we sifted through the rubble, the car was covered with ash. When it came time to pay, he refused payment. He said, "I know what's inside your car and why it's there." There have been so many gestures, large and small, from people all over Malibu. That's really the spirit of Malibu and what these awards are all about. Malibu Film Society had to close down right after the fire because the building had to be cleaned up. After 2 weeks, we went back and I said, "Get used to seeing me in these clothes," and these are the clothes I was wearing, because all the rest of our clothes burned up. The next night, somebody came to the Film Society with 5 brand new shirts for me and 5 brand new tops for Jimmy. These are the things that happened. On Thursday, November 8th, we were in the middle of a screening, and I got a text message that Calabasas was under mandatory evacuation. My first phone call was to Hans Letz, and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, Calabasas is being evacuated, and it looks really bad for Malibu." Hans is not an alarmist. If Hans says it looks bad, it's because he's scared about what might happen. We stopped the screening. We told everybody what was going on. We had the director coming of the film. We stopped the screening. We called the director and apologized. We told everybody there's nothing to worry about right now, but we want everybody to go home and prepare just in case. Hans at that point decided to go on the air. This was 8:08, I think, in the evening on Thursday, before the fire came to Malibu. Hans went on the air. He had been on the air for 8 hours when I got there at 4 o'clock and helped him, relieve him, because his voice was giving out. We were on the air together on and off for the next 3 hours when we heard from Riva that the mandatory evacuation was underway. And we have since received, and I want to get the words just right, so I'm going to read this. We got a long list of emails from people and Facebook posts. This is just one of them on the KBOO website. "We followed you all night the night of the 8th, and we made the move to get our horses out. We thought it was early on the 9th. Turned out to be just in the nick of time. Without being overly dramatic, you saved lives, which is why the Malibu Dolphin Foundation Board voted unanimously to present a check for $1,000 to KBUU Radio." Hans, you come up.
Thank you all. This is going straight to the solar fund. We're building a new solar-powered transmitter, which means we won't have to go up every morning and put gas in it. So, thank you, one and all.
Yeah, we're moving along. This is great. This is so great. Thank you, everybody, for respecting our time limitations. So Hans actually has been running a generator on gasoline, put the money out of his own pocket to keep us informed from before the fire, during the fire, after the fire, and so many people felt that was their only source of auditory accurate information, that there's other sources of information. At any rate, thank you, Hans. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Really important.
And we would be really remiss if we didn't recognize Diane Letz,
Diane,
who has put in so much time and effort in helping with this.
Scott reminds me that as I walked up to him and pinned a dolphin on him, that the last thing he thought about taking out of his house was his dolphin pin, but also his Dolphin Award. If there's any dolphins here who lost their dolphin in the fire, we are happy to replace it. So just let us know. Okay? Happy.
Introduce
Henry? Henry Stern? Henry Stern. Yes. No, you don't have to come up now. We're going to come. You can come up later, though. But I wanted to acknowledge another very important VIP, State Senator Henry Stern. Thank you. Okay.
The next award goes to Johanna Spinks, and Dermot Stoker is going to present it. Dermot, will you come up, and Johanna? Oh, she's here. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Good afternoon. Johanna's right there. Come on up, Joe. Welcome to Malibu, land of many dump trucks and very artistic people. And Joe exemplifies a true talent. And we've been hearing about lots of generosity that's happened in the city over the last many months. And Joe, I think the most valuable thing anybody can give somebody else or a community is their time. And Joe has been very gracious and introducing all of us to very interesting people that live next door and down the street and down the road. And it's great you've been able, Joe, to bring the community together by introducing so many people. I mean, you've done over 60 portraits here in Malibu with your Faces of Malibu series. And I'm sure there are many people that went to witness that at City Hall last year. And that was a fantastic event. And Joe, just give me a second. I'm gonna try and regroup here and read this little bio here. It says, Johanna Spinks is a Malibu resident, base portrait artist whose works hang in museums, galleries, and private collections all over the world. Mentored by 8-time presidential portrait artist Everett Raymond Kinsler, Johanna's style can be best described as classical with a contemporary palette knife twist. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, American Artist Magazine, International Artist Magazine, Where Women Create, and American Art Collector. She's received numerous awards and distinctions from Oil Painters of America National shows, including the Daler Rowney Award for Painting Excellence in 2008, American Artist Magazine Award Artistic Achievement in 2004, the Portrait Society of America Ambassador Certificate of Achievement for her 3-year terms as a California State Ambassador. The Portrait Society of Atlanta, she won first place in a national show there in 2008, the California State Senate, the Mayor of Ventura for her artwork in the community winning Artist of the Year in 2012. She has exhibited regularly with the Historical California Art Club, and Johanna has 5 portraits in the prestigious art collection of the Players Club in New York, including one of artist Norman Rockwell. I mean, what an honor to be able to be chosen to do a portrait of one of the most incredible artists of all time, Norman Rockwell. I mean, Joe, that's substantial. Also, in the Players Club of New York, she has a beautiful portrait of Angela Lansbury. In addition to her commissioned work, spanning over 20 years, working with portrait clients from all over the world, I shouldn't have looked up. Joan has worked on 2 widely celebrated public portrait projects in the cities of Ventura and Malibu, each time working with a different local newspaper, with each sitter being interviewed along with a painted sketch. The Face of Ventura featured 58 life portraits, including Kevin Costner, and is now in the permanent collection of the Museum of Ventura County, with the museum hosting a solo show of Johanna's palette knife portrait work called Going Under the Knife in April of 2016. Fall 2017 saw a solo show, The Face of Malibu, sponsored by the Malibu Cultural Arts Commission, featuring 60 life portraits including 4 town mayors and California State Senator Henry Stern. Museum shows also in 2018 include the California Art Club, a gold medal juried exhibition, and the Los Angeles Natural Museum, the Natural History Museum, and On Location in Malibu, 2018 at the Weissman Art Museum. Joe. Wonderful. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment. There you go. You hold that. That'll look good on your mantle.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Dermot, for that very gracious introduction. Everyone needs a Dermot in their corner, and I've been lucky to have him for many years. Thank you. So, I wouldn't be standing here today without the community of Malibu having supported me and my artwork since 2012, when the Face of Malibu started with the Malibu Times. 80 people actually have been painted so far in this public portrait project, which has been an incredibly rewarding experience for me. I'm incredibly honored to be in the company of this room today and around the circumstances of what Malibu has gone through. I thank Arnold and Karen York for their support for getting the portrait work out there. I thank Emily Sawicki. I thank my family, and I thank my mentor. As a portrait artist, I consider myself a storyteller, and there was no bigger story to tell in Malibu after the fires. I and my husband were evacuated to a hotel for a month. We just got back to our house 2 days ago. So I was lost, confused, and I saw all these other people, quite frankly, that had it far worse than me. They had lost everything. We talked at the breakfast place. We jumped over each other's dogs. It was just very, very humbling. I wasn't feeling like creating at all. But finally, these stories got to me, and I said, I have to get these stories out here. So I got out my sketchbook that had been put away for quite a few days, and I started putting it online, and Emily and I started talking, and how do we get this out there? And then, of course, the rest is history. The Malibu Times started putting these sketches and interviews in the paper. I have to tell you, I had no idea how emotionally moving these interviews would be. It was from the very early days that we started this. People were crying through the interviews, sobbing. It was awful. The words also had to be written very carefully around a difficult time. I spent a long time trying to edit and get the words right. You didn't want to add to people's burden. The sketches, seemed a little less important, to be honest, although I was spending a lot of time on them. I think I was devoting a day a week to the Face of Malibu rebuild, to be honest. Still am, actually. And the portrait sketch, everyone still wants to look good even after a fire. So there was a bit of time spent there. I have painted Malibu through good and bad. And the one thing that I'm absolutely sure of through the 80 people that have graciously sat for me is that there is a unique thread of humanity that runs through us all and this community of Malibu, which I love so much. I'm also sure that in harder times, that community thread is even more golden. Every sitter has told me how much they have been helped by individuals, by various clubs. Everyone said, we felt the love. And it is this golden thread that I have seen through harder times in Malibu, through my artwork and the devastating stories that people have shared with me, that I will always remember for the rest of my life. And the Face of Malibu will continue, the rebuild will continue for a while. And if anyone would like to share their story, if it helps them in any way, that would be wonderful. I have received lovely emails from people telling me that it helped them to read other people's stories. They felt that they weren't alone. So once again, I thank you, and I thank the foundation. I am incredibly honored to get this award, and especially in this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna the Rabbi teaches us that there's nothing more important than saying, I see you, I hear you. Thank you. Okay, Arnold? Oh, my turn, okay. Wow. Okay, so just about the time you begin to think that you're the only journalism voice in the community, or you're one of the two journalism voices in Malibu, you find out that there is a talented, energetic, fantastic source of journalistic talent right on the hill, the journalism people from Pepperdine University, who turned around a fantastic publication in almost no time at all. So, to call up those people, first of all, Dr. Elizabeth Smith, who represents Pepperdine Graphic Media Group. Okay, come on up. Madeline Carr, Mary Kate Long, and two people who know better than anybody else the effort, the talent, the work that went into this. Our editors, Emily and Johnny. Come on up.
Shivani lost her voice, so I'm going to be doing both of our words. Okay. Pepperdine graphic journalists earned a Youth Dolphin Award this year for delivering invaluable news and information to the community during the borderline shooting and wildfires in November of last year. Behind every news headline, every tweet, and every story, there is a journalist, or more often, a team of journalists, working hard to bring timely and accurate information to the public. It can be easy to forget that news, especially breaking news, doesn't just materialize. On Wednesday, November 7th, graphic reporters began breaking news of the mass shooting at the Borderline Bar and Grill, where one Pepperdine student was killed. As members of the school community, these young journalists were tasked with reporting on the events while processing their own grief over the loss of Elena Housley, as well as fear and anger over the shooting. Nothing prepares you to cover events like a mass shooting, but graphic journalists stepped up and were still working as information began to come in about the Woolsey and Hill fires that very afternoon, Thursday, November 8th. Without taking a breath, these young reporters turned to breaking news about the fire, which would eventually become one of the largest news events in Pepperdine's history. These students worked around the clock, foregoing sleep, many of them on campus during the fire, away from their families, to provide information for thousands in the community and potentially tens of thousands more outside Malibu. For student journalists, there is a juggling act between academics, other extracurriculars, and dedicating time and energy to their news organization. These students working on the graphic truly went above and beyond their obligation to the school community to provide informative content around the clock, from the time news broke of the Borderline shooting until the fire had finished its sweep through Malibu. Then, over their Thanksgiving break, they worked countless hours to produce a special edition in the midst of tragedy, commemorating the events of the shooting and fire, and honoring Housley's life. On a personal note, Shivani and I relied on reports from Pepperdine Graphics staff, as well as their advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Smith, during the first hours of the fire. They sent us photos and information from Pepperdine's campus, invaluable with so much speculation and rumor running rampant in those early days. Accepting the award on behalf of their news team, our managing editor, Pepperdine Senior, Mary Kate Long, news editor, Pepperdine Junior, Madeline Carr, and advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Smith.
Hi, I'm Mary Kate Long. I'm the managing editor of The Graphic this semester. I just want to say quickly, thank you so much for this award. It means so much in just honoring all of the work that so many students went through. There's just a couple of us here today, but it's just really countless students and staff that made all of the things that we are able to report possible. And especially thank you to Elizabeth and Courtney, our staff advisors, for guiding us through that really hard time. Maddie was more of reporting from campus on like live updates and breaking news. I spent most of my time designing the whole special edition, and a lot of my spring break when I evacuated and had to go back to Texas, kind of being from afar, feeling all these feelings of grief and seeing on the news things that were happening and not sure how to deal with it. And the funny thing about designing is that you're trying to take all these ideas and bring structure and even beauty to them. And so that was kind of a way for me to physically do that, like in these really devastating times, take some sort of structure to it, apply some sort of beauty and hope. But that was almost easy to do, seeing the community come together so strongly in Malibu and Pepperdine and everyone being so strong. So I just am really so proud to be a part of this community in my time at college here. And thank you so much for supporting us in our time at Pepperdine as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think Mary Kate just did a great job of encapsulating that. But honestly, she kind of sells herself short there. She spent most of her Thanksgiving break turning out incredible special edition that was on stands before students got home. And usually that kind of work, we do another magazine, and that takes a span of a full semester. And her work was just impressive and beautiful. But this is a huge honor to accept this on behalf of our newsroom, and I just wanted to thank the people that were working for that 72-plus hour period, the ad reps that were getting interviews, the reporters that were taking photos, just our news team that was doing an incredible job, and everyone that just put in their full weight into this, despite the tragedies that we were undergoing. But thank you. This is an honor to receive this alongside the heroes and the people that made such an impact on this community. Malibu is such a wonderful place, and just thank you for including us as a part of this community. It's really an honor.
I just wanted to also say thank you. It's very humbling to be able to work with these students. It's also an honor to be able to work in this community. We are sending students to interview you about your businesses and your schools, and sometimes your tragedies, and you guys welcome them in and tell your stories and trust them with your stories. And so thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Truthfully, when I saw the special edition that they did, I was blown away. I mean, that I know what the time pressures are. I know what we went through, and this was just really extraordinary. They've got some very professional and some under the, you know, one of the things about journalism that gets your blood going is the fact you're on deadline all the time. And what they did at Pepperdine was remarkable for a college newspaper, for a college magazine, for a college staff. But I want to say something else. We don't give dolphins to our own people. It just isn't quite right. But Emily and Shivani, during the course of this fire, were working. Literally, they were working 4 hours on, 4 hours off, grabbing sleep where they could, twittering constantly, and we probably had about as much coverage as any two people could have turned out. Most papers with a staff of 20 couldn't have done what the two of them did. And I want to publicly acknowledge the fact that I'm very proud of them and very impressed by what they did. I wish I could say they learned it all from me, but but it's good to have youthful energy and drive at a moment like that. Thank you both.
Thank you all.
Well, I think it's appropriate to call up Terry Adamson today, who is going to present our next Dolphin Award to Dr. Andrew Benton, the president of Pepperdine University. Personally, I know that Terry's going to say some wonderful things about Dr. Benton. She couldn't say enough wonderful things as far as I'm concerned. But I think that what we saw with the journalism students, what we saw here today with the ambassadors, no president has done more to eliminate the lines between town and gown in Malibu than Dr. Benton and bring the university into our community. The wonderful resources of the community, the museum, the theater, the staff, members of the Pepperdine who sit on different foundations, our foundation with the Film Society. So personally, I'm so grateful for your time here.
Well, first of all, I know I'm rocking this look with the boots, so in case.
Other boots here today.
Well, with my
fashion.
Right, my post-surgery book. So if I start a new fashion trend, I see it all around Malibu, just remember you saw it here first. Okay. So I am so honored to present this award to my dear friend, Andy Benton. Andy has been with Pepperdine for 35 years and president there for 19 years. He'll be retiring this year to become president emeritus. Andy is known for leading with his heart and with conviction. He loves the students, and the students love him. In fact, most days he eats at the student cafeteria so he can run into students and ask them how their day was, how they're doing. I know this personally, not only as someone who's been an adjunct professor at Pepperdine Law School for 26 years and being on the board of advisors, but also as a proud Pepperdine mom. Both of my daughters graduated from Pepperdine, and I know that the students absolutely adore Andy Benton. He knows all of them, and he has earned a reputation as the students' president. He's widely thought of as humble, wise, and kind. Andy refers to the home that his lovely wife Debbie and him share, the Brock House, as the students' clubhouse. In fact, they host quite a few parties there for the students. All of the students come there their freshman year for a reception, and when they graduate, they all go to a special party called Rock the Brock, and guess who entertains? Andy's band, the Mesa Peak Band. So a fun fact that you may not know, Andy plays guitar and also sometimes keyboards. Andy often will be seen walking around the campus, engaging with students, and he always makes himself available to the students. Andy and his beloved wife, Debbie, also host myriad events at their home that are just plain fun. And they have a camp out at the Brock House in their backyard for students. They do a pancake breakfast where Andy actually cooks pancakes. And one time, my daughter Megan, who was an ambassador for Pepperdine on the Pepperdine Ambassador Council, she was lucky enough to get to go to one of those breakfasts and camp out, and she came home the next morning just raving about it, how much fun she had and how much fun the whole group of PAC students had, and how cool it was to have the president of the university cooking them up pancakes. Andy also is very passionate about the law and the Constitution, and he even teaches a class called Jurisprudence and the Judicial Process. He has brought acclaimed faculty to Pepperdine and steered it to have a stellar reputation, including facilitating about $1 billion worth of growth in assets for the university. Amazingly impressive. Most dear to Andy's heart is his happy marriage for 44 years to the lovely Debbie Benton. They are immensely enjoying their first grandchild, Jackson, who recently turned 1, and I know they look forward to spending more time with the adorable Jackson. Another fun fact, Andy loves fast cars, road trips, and Route 66. He cherishes his Midwest roots, and he truly embodies the warmth and kindness of a Midwesterner. Andy and Debbie are long-term friends of my family. Andy spoke eloquently at my late husband Grant's memorial. Grant considered Andy one of his absolute closest friends. And in the time that my daughters and I were in the most need in our life, Andy was there. Andy and Debbie were there, and they just could not have been nicer. I remember you guys coming over and bringing dinner to us at our home when our home was so filled with wheelchairs and walkers. It was like an obstacle course, and you came over and had dinner with us and had both of my kids and me at your home at the Brock House after they each graduated from Pepperdine shortly after the accident. So Andy and Debbie have a very, very special place in my heart, so I'm especially honored to be giving this award. And I know Grant's smiling down, Andy, because you so deserve it. So I'll say a couple other quick things that Karen was alluding to, which is we're so blessed because Malibu really is a town. I consider myself so lucky to have lived here for 36 years now. And when you've got a university in your small town, that can really make or break things. And Pepperdine has just been amazing, amazing how it's enhanced our community. It's remarkable, really, and I know that that has been a huge goal of Andy Benton's that he has met. That when people drive by and they see in September, they see the 9/11 flags waving in the wind of the ocean breeze. People come from all over to see that. And I know I always have tears in my eyes every time, but there's so much that Malibu has done, that Pepperdine has done to help the community of Malibu. And what you may not be aware of also is the global impact. Pepperdine has, the law school has a global justice program in Uganda that has been amazing in being able to release people who have been suffering for years and years, kids, a lot of them, teenagers who have been suffering with charges where there weren't evidence against them. And there's just countless work that people, the Pepperdine students do to volunteer and to be helpful to our community in myriad ways. And so at this time, I just want to add one other thing, that Andy, on a personal note, he just has a smile that lights up the whole room. He's one of the warmest, nicest, most humble people I've ever met, and he's brilliant and he's wise. We are so fortunate to have him here at the helm at Pepperdine, and I'm so honored to present you this award, Andy. Karen. Andy?
Terry, that was overwhelming, and particularly in view of my friendship with your dear departed husband, Grant, and my love and affection for the whole of your family. I want to thank Karen Portugal York, and I want to thank Arnold York, both friends and people that I respect very much in the community for the way you tell our community story, which is terribly important, and it's also terribly interesting. This is a really interesting community. If you go up to Heroes Garden on the Drescher campus at Pepperdine, and you'll see the first limestone or sandstone rock on the left has an inscription, a quote from Dina Burnett, whose husband Tom Burnett died in United Flight 93 on September 11. And in part, it's his life that we memorialize and commemorate on September 11 every year. The quote attributed to her, it goes something like this: some people are heroic all at once in their lives. Others are heroic every day of their lives and give a little bit of themselves every day. In this room is evidence of that. There are those who are heroic all at once. There are those, most of you as a matter of fact, who are heroic every day of your lives in your service to your community, your family, your synagogue, your church, wherever it is that you give. I read Democracy in America. I love what Tocqueville said about communities, small towns all across America that where people imbibed of the spirit of the community. And I think in gatherings like this, we are imbibing of the spirit of this remarkable community known as Malibu. And I'm just privileged to stand here today and drink in that spirit with you. I also, and this is the last point that I want to make, I love the work of Robert Putnam, a Harvard sociologist, when he talked about the importance of building social capital. And I think that we build social capital in this community through all the work that we do together, service to the environment, through AYSO soccer, through Little League, which I dearly loved, but the things we do with Malibu High School and Webster and all the schools, we build social capital. And I think we're strong as a consequence of the social capital that we construct in Malibu. And I personally appreciate the Yorks and each one of you for your contribution to that. And I just want to say how grateful I am that you've welcomed and loved, embraced the students of Pepperdine University. When I arrived in 1984, I had a lot of concern about that, but here we are some 35 years later, and I really do think that our students feel loved and welcomed and engaged, and that's what I really want. Excellence will come academically, but if you don't have that great partnership that exists between a community and a college university, things will really have a hard time progressing. We progress beautifully, and I thank all of you for this award today. Bless you.
Wow. Okay. I'd like to bring up to the podium John Seibert, who will be presenting our next award to Lieutenant James Royal.
Thanks, Karen. This was almost too obvious an award in many ways. We started thinking about it. Jim, of course, has been with us for some time. And you may be aware of how our Sheriff's Department works with us. We are part of the Lost Hills Service District, which is the western part of LA County and the 5 cities that are contract cities that contract with the Sheriff's Department for police protection. And there's a captain there that's in charge, and we have the new acting captain here today. Because we're some distance away, we have a liaison assigned to the city. It's a lieutenant. In the 16 and a half years that I've been involved with Planning Commission and City Council and so on, we've had 3. Deborah, Tracy went on to head up a SWAT team, which I don't know if that was what Malibu trained her for, but and Jim Royal. Jim has been with us for almost 8 or 9 years. Normally, liaisons last at 1 or 2, 3 years. For most of Malibu citizens, Jim is the face of law enforcement. He has mastered that role with calm, cool efficiency. Every city council meeting, you could look back and see Jim and Mike, who's sitting over here too. Who should probably get his own Dolphin Award for all he's done with the homeless and the vets. Yeah. Jim would diffuse difficult situations that often arose between citizens and law enforcement with humor and a very sympathetic ear. He's not a yes man, but someone who always looked for answers and listened to often conflicting opinions. He could be relied upon to come up with out-of-the-box solutions. See, you're blushing, Jim. To the not infrequent problems that arise in our community. Whenever there was an emergency of any kind, he was there, cool, calm under pressure. During the Woolsey fire, he went above and beyond, working around the clock for our community through that entire period. He led the beach team every year for the safety of the millions of visitors. He was also the longtime leader of the PCH task force, which is critical for those of us that live along this 21 miles of state highway, and did his usual terrific job. He is diligent, hardworking, and always available on call for a meeting. 6 former mayors and current city council members nominated Jim for this, because we have worked with him for those years. And we have all witnessed his service to this community. On top of all he does as the most visible face of law enforcement in Malibu, everybody likes him. And that's really hard to do as a law enforcement professional. You know, the one thing about Jim is that he has been dedicated to this city. He cares about the citizens of Malibu. And all of us who have worked with him know that. And this is a real honor to present this award to you, Jim.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you how honored I am to be a recipient of the Dolphin Award. I was not expecting this. First of all, if I've given any of you a ticket, I apologize. I do love this community. I just want to say I'm deeply honored. Thank you very much. I'm grateful beyond words to have had the opportunity to serve all of you amazing people. All of the words that came before me about community and about service, it's exemplified beyond measure in this town. I can't tell you in the last 8 or 9 years what Mike and I have observed and interacted with, acts of courage and love and kindness and overcoming adversity, unbelievable really. And all I can say is I deeply respect and love this community, and I appreciate this very much on behalf of the Sheriff's Department as well. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Royal. I have to tell you of my personal experience during the fire when we were trying to get through, even with our press passes, the blockades, and bring people who needed to be in the community through the blockades. And we have a lot of strangers at that blockades acting like the authority, way beyond their authority. I won't say what they were acting like, but the one person who knew us and knew who needed to be here and enabled us, those people, to come into the community to do what they had to do was Lieutenant Royal, and I'll be grateful forever for that. So, all of a sudden, there appears in Malibu this fantastic organization, that was just invented out of immediate need, with great energy, fantastic contacts, and all of a sudden, an immense amount of money became available to members of our community who so desperately needed money, cash for rent, for clothing, for medical care, medications. There was no place else to get it. All of a sudden, there was, and there were the resources available to get it. This was an instant foundation founded by people who have done much nonprofit work in the world, who happened to be we are very fortunate to have them living in our community. I did not know them. I know them now. I invite them up here right now, the people from the Malibu Foundation. Evelyn, Weber, Trevor, and a good friend and a very talented documentarian, Rory Kennedy. Wow. Evelyn, would you tell us a little bit about your story here? About how you were sitting at home figuring out what you could do and how you made it happen? Okay, whoever wants to do that. Maybe sure, Trevor wants to do it.
Well, Evelyn threw the 2-year-old and the dog in the car and evacuated. And when we were evacuated, we thought, gosh, what can we do besides just worry, like all of you? And since we've done a little bit of work in the world of philanthropy, we thought, well, there's probably going to be a need for money to address some of what's going on, although this was before the fire had really even hit us in Malibu. And the first person I think that I called was Rory, who's a really old friend of mine. And
not that old.
Did you see how long it took you to walk up here? Rory just had double knee surgery, so it wasn't that she was enjoying the basking in the glow of adoration as she walked up, it's that she can barely walk. But no, we just thought we might have a network of people that could help raise some money, and so we quickly created the Malibu Foundation. Evelyn, my wife, has been running it from day one, and it's important to note that there are people from all over the world that donated to this foundation, thousands of donors, including $1.25 from Nigeria. And these tiny amounts were coming through the website, but there are a few really notable people that should be mentioned. I mean, one couple is Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, whose house burned down, who gave us $500,000 to the foundation while the fire was still burning. Right away, Anthony Kiedis and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who live in Malibu, whose houses did not burn, right away agreed to do a benefit concert, which we had at the Palladium, and raised $1.7 million that night. Salesforce, the big company that you've heard of, by the way, they didn't get paid a penny to perform. Salesforce, you may have heard of. Mark Benioff, the CEO, gave us $1 million. People from all over the place that came together to help. And so, anyway, there are a lot of programs. You should go to the website. You should see what we're doing. I think there's going to be more of a long-term view now on how the remaining resources can be used. None of the early stuff could have been done without Casey from the Boys and Girls Club, who became our partner immediately. We were talking to Casey a lot the first few weeks, and she was just an amazing partner. So, Rory, you want to say?
Yeah, I'll just add a few words. First of all, we're so honored to receive this award, so thank you to the Malibu Times and for all of you for being here today. You know, I think we all have a story of our experience during this fire, but I wasn't going to talk about this, but I just wanted to tell a brief story of my own experience, which was in the immediate aftermath of the fire. I came back up here by boat. Sorry, Skylar, I know I wasn't supposed to do that, but anyway. So, and you know, there was a concern that Point Dume and Malibu was continuing to burn throughout that Friday and Saturday, of course. And so I ended up working with a number of families in Malibu to hire a group of firemen and 2 fire trucks and a water truck to monitor the entire neighborhood and community. And we made sure that everybody that we knew and tried to get the message out to as many people as possible so that these fire trucks would be available to whoever needed these fire trucks. But one of the issues I had is that we couldn't communicate because there was no Wi-Fi and there was no connectivity. But then I got word that there was this woman who was on Point Dume who had Wi-Fi. And so I called her and I got through to her and I said, do you mind if these firemen come to your house every 2 hours so I can then tell them where to go around Malibu? And so that's indeed what happened. These firemen came to her house every 2 hours, and I never met Linda, but I talked to her all the time, and she just tapped me on the shoulder over there. So she was in the connecting table, so I want to acknowledge her. But, you know, I tell that story because I look around this room, and everybody has contributed, you know, and it's such an extraordinary community, and you know, this has been such a hardship and such a tragedy for, I think, all of us on a really basic level. And we've started this foundation with the recognition that there's a perception that Malibu is got a lot of famous people and a lot of wealthy people, but the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of people who struggle in this community and who don't have those resources and who love this ocean and love the mountains as much as any of the rest of us do and are equally deserving. We got an email the other day from a woman who had moved here from the Midwest because she was in another fire there. She moved up into the mountains. She was staying with a relative. The fire took down that house. And she reached out to us because she has a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old. She has a sick mother, a father who had just had a stroke. And she was about to go buy a tent to go live with all of them in a tent. And we were able to help them because of the money and the resources that you all have given us. So we want you to know that we take that responsibility really very, very seriously. We are doing very thorough assessments based on needs of this community, really trying to get the money into the hands of the people who need it most. And at the same time are looking to do thoughtful rebuilds of Malibu, and we're working with the city council. And you know, I do want to acknowledge Henry Stern, who we've also been working with, who's right here, who's been amazing, because part of our effort and energy is also to help people understand that these fires are the result of climate change. And we need to be forward-thinking as we rebuild this city and as we acknowledge what the role is of climate change in impacting communities like this. And Henry has just declared a climate state of emergency. He, as you know, is from this community, and he's working really hard on the policy level. And I want to also recognize all the city council members here who are equally working hard, and all of you. And, you know, I wanted to leave with a quote from my father because when I was sitting here today, it reminded me of what he said, Robert F. Kennedy, in South Africa in 1965. He said, "Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, these ripples create a wave that can wipe down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." I think together we are a wave that is going to take on this issue. We're going to go forward with it. We're going to be stronger because of it. And it's my great honor to be a part of this community and part of this larger effort. Thank you.
Get in here with us. Thank you.
Wear it with pride. We're proud of you. Wow. Well, you know, it's one thing to raise a vast amount of money to help the people in need. And so many of you are involved in raising money and distributing money through your foundations and organizations and so forth. But it's quite another thing to create an instant infrastructure for making sure that that money goes to the right people at the right time, in a timely way, when time is, when hotel bills have to be paid or people need money so they don't have to live in tents. And I was surprised because I didn't know that this organization had that capability, and maybe they didn't even know they had this capability. But in the end, and in the beginning, we have an organization here in Malibu that was able to provide this superstructure, and now we have a super shiro that I want to talk to, a shiro who really deserves this award and probably epitomizes everything that's going on here today. So, presenting this is the last award? My goodness, we're right on time. The 10th award to Casey Ernest. I'd like to invite up Laura Rosenthal and Greg Foster, and come on in, Casey. The organization, Casey's organization, but you can have an organization, but unless you have a maven like Casey to pull it off, is the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure. So since we're running early and we have 20 minutes left, we can talk for 20 minutes.
So there's 1,000 reasons why Casey Ernest deserves this award. Number 1,000, no? Okay. Karen, this is about heroes in our midst. You've talked about that before. It's about seeing things we didn't see in our community, we didn't know exist, or seeing things that were here in a different light. And in terms of Casey and her capacity, some of us knew it was there, and now everybody knows it's there. So Laura's going to talk about, the relief effort, and I'm going to talk about the things that Casey's been doing in our community for 14 years. So it came up that not everyone in Malibu has huge resources. Many, many, many people struggle. And in our school district, there's lots and lots of kids who are not going to get the help anywhere other than the Boys and Girls Clubs of Malibu. And Casey's been here for 14 years. She started at the high school with one club there helping those kids. And now, she expanded now, and every single public school in Malibu has a Boys and Girls Club. And And not only does it give those kids a place to go, a feeling of being taken care of and a feeling of togetherness, but the programs that club offers are truly astonishing. Whether it's homework help, a STEAM summer camp, there's college and job search, they work with the Emily Shane Foundation, which is a past Dolphin winner that does just amazing, beautiful things. 2 different programs to teach leadership. There's 3 different programs that do different forms of service work. There's sobriety clubs, on and on and on. There's so many things. So these kids are getting such valuable, such valuable input, and it changes their lives. And by and large, this is input that those kids are not going to get anywhere else, that support they're not getting any other way.
So for 14 years, that's been provided to them. And just to put in perspective how that can change a life, the Boys and Girls Clubs have a, what's the name? I want to get the name right. Casey, what's it called? Oh, Youth of the Year. That's it, of course. They have a Youth of the Year award that's a statewide national award. And in the last 7 years, 4 kids from her Boys and Girls Club, from our Boys and Girls Club, have been finalists. And we have a state winner right here. So, and when you think about where Malibu fits into all of the people going to that, it just tells you the incredible preparation that they have gotten, the life-changing experience that Casey and her team provide. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Suyen Constanza as well, who is just an amazing partner. So then there's a second thing she's done, because Casey is not here for any one thing. She's here for at least 3 separate things. She had a vision forever that in addition to all these support services that she provides, that there was a huge need for wellness, right? For mental health, for support in that way. And so in 2016, she worked and she worked and she started and she built a vision and she built the funding and she built the partnerships and she built the wellness center. And that wellness center, again, started at Malibu High. They now have counseling at every campus in the Malibu public schools. So far this year, they've serviced 280 kids. 280 kids have had their lives changed in Malibu because of her. And that's also a huge part of our school population. So not only is it a huge absolute number, but it makes a tremendous difference because, as Rory said, those ripples of health spread outwards from those kids. And by way of transitioning to Laura's part of our little talk, pivoting not just to the fundraising and relief side, but to the mental health side, that wellness center provided support to 100 kids and families in our community that were affected by the fires. So I now hand the microphone to Laura Rosen.
Thank you. First, I just want to say how honored I am to be asked to give this award to Casey. And I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, because I want to talk about, and it really is, as Craig said, the latest reason why she was nominated. And there were so many people from all over the community that nominated Casey, from city council to the school community to just the regular community. There were so many people. I'm going to read some pieces of those nominations in a little bit. But, you know, when the fire broke out and the aftermath, and then starting to put this community back together, and we just honored, so rightfully so, the Malibu Foundation. This is the Boys and Girls Club. It's part of the Malibu Foundation for Youth and Families that was started in response to the Columbine incident 20 years ago. But right away, I got a phone call from Casey saying, we've got to put something together, and we have put something together. Can you be involved? Can you help us? We're going to have a Skype call in 5 hours with Craig and with Lou and a number of other people, with the Malibu Foundation. And it was an amazing thing to put together. And just to give you a number, it was the largest disaster relief organization effort ever in the history of Malibu, when you looked at what they were able to do. So the Malibu Emergency Relief Fund, and they got their initial funding through the Malibu Foundation, dispersed almost $1.5 million to 530 individuals and families. It was created within a week of the fire, bringing community members and the Malibu Foundation together to make this happen. That I mean, I'm sure for those of you who have, put together things, that is an amazing thing to happen. And she put together an advisory group and then also a committee that would look at everybody that asked for money, what they needed, make sure everything was needed. And it was for emergency, so that somebody had a roof over their head, could put food in their kids' mouths, all of those kinds of things, had clothes on their back. And this is above and beyond all the other things that Casey does, all the other work that she does for the club that Craig was talking about. Before I was on council, I actually worked with Casey on, I couldn't remember what it was called. It was a youth leadership.
It was
Imagine the Possibilities. Imagine the Possibilities. And it's a youth leadership foundation that we did at the Jewish Center. And it was 10 years ago that we did that. I found some old emails. And that was my first glimpse into the magic and brilliance that is this woman. And it has only grown over the years after that. When I was on council, Casey and I worked together a lot, and she was always, always fighting for the kids and the families of Malibu. I always think of the word, and other people used it in their nominations, above and beyond. She always goes above and beyond. Just when you think, oh, well, this is what the Boys and Girls Club does. She's raised the level. Joy, passion, leadership, backbone of our community, selfless, creative, hardworking, generous of spirit and heart. That's what came up a lot. And let me just read in closing a couple of the quotes. But before that, I just want to thank David, her husband, and Talia, her daughter, for sharing Casey with us all of these years. So some of you out there might have written some of these words, but whether it's a student finding resources to go to college, a parent struggling with balancing working with after-school care, kids who strive to be servants and leaders, or a family left homeless due to fire or financial despair, or an educator who needs support in their role, Casey is always there to help. Casey has identified needs, filled in gaps, challenged herself and others, and has made Malibu a better, safer, and more inclusive place. She worked countless hours and was a brave and fearless leader, raising money, putting together committees, forging ahead when obstacles presented themselves during the fire, and keeping her eye on the goal of helping these displaced and traumatized families. So I just want to, from my heart, thank you. From the Malibu community heart, we are blessed with this wonderful woman who is a treasure for all of Malibu.
Well, Arnold, you get your dream. I'm not going to read from what I wrote, any of the pages. And I just kind of want to feed off, all of these amazing faces in the room. It's incredible for me to be honored by two of my personal mentors here. Many of you, there's so many of you in this room I've worked with. Tim, we were talking today, he did construction on the club 2008-ish. Netta's taught choreography for events. Sherman's taken kids, even though she doesn't really like them, and taught them about animals.
She loves animals.
And she wants the kids when they're adults to love animals, but she just doesn't want to love the kids when they're kids. And we love that about you. I can't take a horse yet. Soon. Can take a horse. I mean, there's just so many incredible people in this room, and I have really been able to elevate what the club is and what the club has become as part of this community, because so much of the invested interest in this room. And there's nothing that's been too big or too small that hasn't made an impact on how we operate. And I truly work from the premise, I'm for the kids, I'm for their families. I was fortunate to grow up in an amazing family, and I want every kid to have that same experience. It's truly part of who I am. And
if you haven't participated in the club, please do so in whatever way. But it is here. We believe in what our kids can become, and they're going to be standing here in a handful of years. And if we don't make it our #1 priority to make them, fulfill them with everything that they need to be the next generation of, I always say, empathetic, conscientious citizens, we're not doing our part. We have past Youth Dolphin Award winners in the room. We have Violet Mealy, we have Ife Housel, we have Sabrina Carey. These are incredible kids. If I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry. But these are 3 incredible women who were incredible kids who are now adulting and doing incredible things, and that's exactly what we want for our future. We won on these 3. So thank you for making them dolphins, Karen. But truly, the club has grown, and it's been I didn't come to the Boys and Girls Club of Malibu to stay in Malibu for this long. It wasn't my intent as a much younger professional, but I see where the impact lies, and I see where I can do my small part to change the trajectory of people's lives, and that's what this is all about. And that's why everyone in this room is here, because you're also all part of that, and so I acknowledge you and everything that you've done. I'm blessed that the club has grown, and we have all these beautiful clubhouses, and the wellness center is servicing our kids because it's so important. And I thought that I had kind of reached a pinnacle when I did the chili cook-off. Did that thing happen? Like 6 months ago? Like Maggie, master of chili in the back. So yeah, it's hard to really talk about what the last 6 months look, because it literally went from chili to fire in the blink of an eye. And so much happened. But just to transition to the fire relief effort for a moment, that was scary, right? Like, we all went through it together. It was scary for a lot of different reasons. But I knew that the Boys and Girls Club, I have the most amazing team, and I want to acknowledge my board of directors, because they are the silent infrastructure of folks who are behind the scenes who you don't get to see on a daily basis. You see me because I'm out and I'm, trying to get people to give money and do all different kinds of things, but that board is incredible. And I want to name them quickly: Debbie Frank, Nathan Jones, Monica Lurie, Mona Sabat, Amy Cohen, Dr. Mark Kelly, Sally Phillips. Did I say Monica? And Monica Lurie. They're incredible. And everything that we do, and every idea I bring to them, whether it be the chili cook-off or fire relief efforts, they support me. And then they get involved and they do the work. And they are exactly the same as our founding board members, which were Lauren Daniel Stern, Henry's parents. They work through the entire project. And they truly, truly have the thankless job, because they believe that deeply in this community and our kids. And my energy is fueled by their energy and their support, and I couldn't do anything without them. And this fire relief effort is another example of that. And there's so many heroes. There's never too many heroes, but there were so many heroes in this effort. And I have new friends. I got to meet Trevor and Evelyn in the Malibu Foundation, who immediately came on the scene, and we're so grateful to everything that you guys have done and are continuing to do. And thank you for believing in us and giving us $400,000. It's a huge chunk of money. And I want to publicly acknowledge Bert and Joan Ross. Early on in the fire, they stepped up to the plate, and I hope I'm not drawing too much attention to, these are 2 incredible people who have been supporting the wellness programs at the Boys and Girls Club, and they stepped up with a $100,000 donation to fire relief. After losing their home. And my team, my Boys and Girls Club team are some of the most incredible people that I've ever had the privilege of knowing. My team lost their homes. They had spouses that lost their jobs because of the fire. They were all evacuated. And every day they showed up for fire relief. And every day they sat down with our community and they listened to the personal stories of loss. And while they were dealing with their own loss, they helped people through loss. And I watched them every day for months do this without fail. And they restored hope in people. They gave hugs to strangers, right? They held hands with people that they may never even see again, but they had those tender moments, and they went the extra mile. So I am accepting the Dolphin Award on behalf of a lot of different people, including my team. And I just want to thank all of you. I want to thank Henry for being a soldier in all of this in Malibu and supporting the club. Craig and Laura, so many of you have been. Riva, you know, there's too many of you. All of you in here have been incredible, and I thank you, and this is an incredible honor, and let's not have any more fires. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so I think that everything that we needed to hear, we needed to hear this as to recover. And I think that each one of our dolphins and all of the people that helped each one of our dolphins are heroes and sheroes. And one of them is our homegrown Senator Stern, who I'd like to call up to acknowledge your efforts on our behalf before, during, and after, and ongoing into the future, helping Malibu.
I wish I need an award to give to the Yorks. I need, what is this? How do you, let's just all summon a pod of actual dolphins, maybe just to launch I mean, what you've done over the years, you got called on in a moment of huge need, and this award, I mean, I've been to many growing up, but this one's a little different. Yeah, I'm drained going through these 10 awardees and the level of humility and dedication in this room. I got to just lightning round it because I can't help myself. But yeah, I mean, when you're stuck in the middle of a disaster and everything seems amiss, and you find Lieutenant Jim Royal on PCH like bringing sense to chaos, you're grateful. And when things go nasty and sideways, and then you find a steady ship like Andy Benton to actually calm the waters and bring generosity and decency back to the conversation, when we can turn on each other so quickly, we're grateful. And when we have no one else to turn to for resources to pick up those who have fallen and those who may slip through the cracks and people who you don't even know exist in Malibu and maybe live in the shadows, then this Malibu Foundation emerges, and Trevor and Evelyn come out of the hills and summon this beautiful, generous spirit with Rory and find Casey, and lo and behold, there is an infrastructure in Malibu to actually deliver. Even when it feels like everything falls down and the grid fails us and our pipes fail us and our homes fail us and our mountains fail us, the people come back. They don't fail it. I mean, listen to Ms. Hungerland. My gosh, what amazing young leaders we raised. The Soderquists. I mean, you guys make me so proud to be from here. So proud to be from here. It's endless going around this room. Scott and Bert and even we've got Hall of Famers here like Lily, who fed us forever, and we still love you, Lily, so much. I don't want to try to be exhaustive, but I guess the one thing I would just say is that this moment has every possibility of tearing us apart as a community. And those efforts are alluring because they're easy and they're sitting right in front of you. And we can lash out in these moments of desperation and find an angry strain in ourselves that says, why? It's unfair, it's unjust. And we can look around at our neighbors and start to blame each other and try to tear this community apart. Or We can do what we're doing here today, and we can commune, and we can summon that collective energy of decency and spirit, and we can actually heal not just Malibu, but we can show the whole world who's watching us what we're made of. I believe that we can do that. We have to do that. It's going to mean uncomfortable conversations for all of us over the next few months and year, but we have to keep doing that, and you have to keep telling your story at the Malibu Times and being a source of truth and journalism and a sober voice. We are so, so grateful to you, to the Yorks. We need our community hubs around information, and that rumors spread like wildfire here too, right? But these are our firefighters, right? Where they can actually maybe bring some truth and bring that greater spirit, those angels of our better nature. I know it's in us. I thank you for bringing us together as a community. I'm so grateful to work for you and to be from here, and I'm never prouder to be from Malibu than I am here today. So I love it.
So, I want to say two things. One, if you've received a dolphin, come right here when we adjourn in a minute or two. So please come for your photograph or photo session. The second thing is one group of people who Arnold and I personally want to thank today, is after the fire, we decided that something that had worked very well for us when our house burned down in '93 was something we created called Operation Recovery, which we created to provide support and information to people who had to rebuild their homes and their lives. And the Operation Recovery Steering Committee came forward, a bunch of strangers, and some of them strange too, but strangers. No, every one of them brilliant, full of energy. They've so far produced 4 fantastic workshops for people that are rebuilding. We hope to do one. We hope to exist at least for another 18 months, providing information and support. So I see Pam here, but I don't see a lot of our Operation Recovery people are out doing their Operation Recovery thing today. So if anybody that I missed that's part of our steering committee that I didn't say, I want to say hi. Thank you, Pam, for participating and being part of our group. And I hope that you all, if anybody wants to be on that mailing list to find out what we're doing, just let me know. Anyway.
We have a number of representatives here with awards for the Dolphin awardees. Yeah. Why don't all the Dolphin awardees come on up, and also the reps for the various, we've got, and no, we'll just, what's that, certificates? Okay. And bring your Dolphin Awards with you. And everybody, thank you very much, and thank you for staying on schedule. Remarkable, 2:05, right on the nose we hit it.